Most people think life is about beginnings and endings. But the truth is, most of life is lived in the in-between. Life is a series of beginnings and endings. Something begins and eventually something ends. A relationship begins and sometimes it ends. A season of life opens and eventually it closes. But when we really look at life, most of it is not lived in those moments. Most of life is lived in the space between them. The time between a beginning and an ending, that space, is what we call transition. And transition is rarely comfortable. Because often before light appears, there is darkness. Before freedom comes, there is oppression. Before restoration comes, there is a season that feels uncertain. When we look through Scripture, we see this pattern again and again. Before Israel walked in freedom, they lived under oppression in Egypt. Before they entered the Promised Land, they walked through the wilderness. Before restoration came, there were 70 years in Babylon. Those were the in-between years. Not where they had started, and not yet where they hoped to be. They were living inside the space between two chapters of their story. And that middle place can feel uncomfortable. Because we often want the ending quickly. We want the breakthrough. We want the resolution. We want clarity about where the story is going. But the in-between is where faith is tested. It is where patience is formed. It is where we learn to trust God even when the full picture is not yet clear. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually preparation. And then one day the story shifts. Scripture describes it this way. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. After the long night, the morning finally came. After exile, there was restoration. After waiting, there was fulfillment. And the moment was so overwhelming, it felt almost like a dream. The in-between seasons can feel long. Sometimes they feel uncertain, but they are not the end of the story. Because the same God who delivered his people before is still able to deliver again. But the story of God reminds us of something important. The night does not last forever. The exile did not last forever. The oppression did not last forever. The waiting did not last forever. And when God begins to move, restoration can come in ways we never imagined. That is why the people said they were like those who dream. Because the moment they had hoped for, the moment they had prayed for, finally arrived. And what once felt impossible suddenly became reality. And maybe that is where some of us are right now. Somewhere in the middle. Not where we started, not yet where we are going. But trusting that the same God who delivered his people before is still able to deliver again. Because the in-between is not the end of the story. Sometimes it is simply the space between the night and the morning. Life will always have beginnings, and it will always have endings. But the majority of our lives are lived in the space between those two moments. The question is not just when the next chapter will begin. The real question is, how do we live faithfully in the middle? How do we keep growing, trusting, and moving forward, even when the full picture isn't clear yet. Because sometimes the in-between is not wasted time. Sometimes it's where God is quietly doing some of His most important work. Sometimes it is simply the space between the night and the morning we have not seen yet. The story is still unfolding.